Hey everybody, welcome to Dabbles Gaming. My name's Dabbles because that's what I do. Today we have The Well, so let's check it out. The Well is an art-style casual game by Peng Bitao in which you control a Chinese character dressed in hanfu and do li. Due to the artful nature of the game, it's hard to nitpick the mechanics of the game, as they could easily be considered just part of the artistic choice of the developer. The game itself is done in a traditional Chinese water ink style that is striking to look at, and when combined with the soundtrack by Hu Ying, done with the guqin, a 500-year-old string instrument common to a lot of traditional Chinese music, and immediately recognizable, it makes for a brilliant experience. The gameplay is extremely simple. You can move your character with the A and D keys and rotate the world using S and W. You can also use the arrow keys if that's more your style. The spacebar doubles as both a jump and action key. Sadly, there are no mouse controls and I wasn't able to tell if there was any sort of controller support, but the game is so simple that a controller isn't really needed. There's no story to the game from what I was able to make out. Chinese text frequently shows on the screen, but I'm not able to read it, so I have no idea if that tells any sort of story. I also wasn't able to find any sort of translation online, so any story that may be there is lost to me, sadly. From what I could gather from playing the game, you play as a wanderer who is in search of something. The something, I'm assuming, is the eponymous well that the game title mentions. As you start to move the character, the music starts and passages in Chinese appear on the screen. First thing that I noticed is how slow the motion is. The character moves at a very leisurely pace, as though he has all the time in the world. As you explore the first island that you're on, you notice a boat which seems to be the only way off. After getting on the boat and picking up the staff to paddle, the game really begins. Let me just say that the boat controls are frustrating to say the least. The boat moves with left and right controls and floats as you believe a boat would. The frustration comes in the fact that the only way to turn is to hit the up or down controls while pushing with left or right. You can't turn while stationary. This wouldn't be so bad if the game didn't have you navigating between numerous islands. To top it all off, the direction that the screen rotates when you push a certain direction depends on which way you're moving at the time. Up rotates clockwise while moving one way, but anti-clockwise while moving the other. This makes maneuvering through the islands difficult if you happen to get stuck. Once you get the hang of the boat controls, however, the game becomes very cathartic. The character doesn't row continuously if you hold down one direction, meaning you are methodically pumping the direction key. Once you get the rhythm down, you can pretty much do it in your sleep. Combine this with the music and the whole experience is very relaxing. There was one thing that still had me a bit baffled though. In the trailer for the game, it shows the world going into a rainy night mode, and yet as long as I played it, I'd never had that happen. At first I thought it depended on how long you played the game. While fiddling around with the game to make this review, it suddenly turned dark and started to rain. What had I done differently? The answer was mash buttons. You heard me, mash buttons. If you quickly alternate the up and down buttons, the world turns dark and it begins to rain. This gives a whole new visual to the game that I actually prefer. The islands around you quickly fade into nothingness, while your character becomes brilliantly contrasted in white against the black background while the rain falls and leaves syncopated ripples on the invisible water. You also seem to row faster than you do during the day. This aesthetic change eventually fades, but you can turn it back on or keep it going by continually pressing the up and down buttons again. Be warned though, it does make navigating the islands nearly impossible. After traveling for a while, you realize that you've been boating around for a long time and haven't found a single thing involving a well. Then you finally run into a lonely island far away from the rest and think, oh, this must have a well. You park your boat, a tricky task to say the least, and you head up onto the only island that you seem to be able to disembark onto and head to the other side. Suddenly you see the edge of a vast city in the distance, but when you approach it, you run into the end of the world, unable to reach the promised land that is right before you. After trying in vain for some time, you return to the boat that you parked, only to find that it has floated off into the water and there is no way that you can get to it. Let me just tell you how frustrating this was the first time it happened to me. I thought maybe if I backed the boat in the island, it would stay. I was so frustrated I actually forgot to end my recording and corrupted the entire thing. Rage quit worthy frustration here. I gave it a second try and the boat still floated away. At this point, I realized there may be more to this game than first meets the eye. I tried playing the game and taking a boat around the island to the opposite direction and see what was there. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. In fact, you run to the end of the world on that side faster than you do on the other side. It amazed me how linear the game was, considering how open the gameplay itself was. You're expected to travel to the lonely island, see the faraway town, and frustratingly quit the game. The game even fades out slowly to black when you quit, like closing the back cover of a book when you're finished reading. So, after much trial and tribulation, I decided to see what the creator of the game had to say about his own creation. Apparently, I wasn't the only person who had a question about the meaning of the game. There was an entire thread on his blog about the meaning, and this is what he had to say about it. As for the game The Well, it's not deeper than my former games, Logan Tree or Silence in the Mist, in fact. For its secret is only one secret, which is hidden in the title The Well. Because there's not any prompt in the game, and player still does not know what to do, the title is the only purpose, can be known as looking for a well. If you are going to search for the well, you got the first third. And in the game you can see the falling petals and rains, swimming fishes and flying swallows, day and night, but all these are just the feedbacks to players' mentality and acts, which does not affect the game's connotation. And after seeing the town, you know that it can only be seen, not reached. If you give up then, you got the second third. But what's the whole meaning of the game? Where's the last 1/3 to the whole 3/3? Connect the title to search of the first third and the end to give up of the second third, you got the last third. Though there is a goal, it doesn't exist. As for what does there is a goal, it doesn't exist mean, no exact meaning. Not to mention the extending meaning. After reading that and realizing that the game itself was made from the beginning to have no end, to be the experience and not the goal, I started to think of it on that same level. I also started to notice a lot of things about the game that I didn't notice before. At the beginning of the game, the boat is located on the right side of the island, giving you the unconscious feeling that you need to take that boat and sail that way. You know that you're looking for a well, but you keep running into empty island after empty island, like small pieces of a puzzle without the big picture to help you put them all together. After you meander your way through, you're met with a vast expanse of open water. Should you go back? The vapor's goal of the well keeps you going forward into the unknown until you reach the lonely island and disembark. Then you see it, a vast city before you. As you're about to set foot on its empty streets and continue your journey, you reach an invisible barrier that keeps you from continuing, so you turn back to your only mode of conveyance, the boat, only to find that it has floated off into the water without you, and you're now trapped forever alone at the end of a chapter of your life without it to be continued. Once you come to that realization, you tap the escape key and the screen slowly fades to black in the same artful way it faded in at the beginning. All that you're left with after playing this game was the experience of playing it. There's no sense of accomplishing a goal because there never was a goal. You'll never know if there was a physical well or if the well just represents an imagined goal that you made for yourself, knowing in the back of your mind that you can never reach it. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "Life is a journey, not a destination," and I believe that this game personifies this quote in a very beautiful and zen-like way. It's not even a game per se, but a great experience to wind down to. It has beautiful graphics, somber, calming music, and a slow-paced, rhythmic gameplay to put you in a meditative state. If games like that are your bag, then check it out. Hey guys, thanks for watching my Check It Out review. I'll be putting one of these out the last Friday of every month, so make sure to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any awesome indie games that you can pick up for little or no cost to you. As always, I've been Dabbles, you guys have been awesome. See you next time.